everybody, it's Neil Frankel here. This is take 2 on our financial update of the economy and what to do about risk. We had some audio problems the first time through, and hopefully we've solved them now. We've brought in our technical geniuses and we're going to try it again. Can you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down for anyone in the lobby if the situation is good, if the audio is good? We're looking good there? Okay, awesome. So I want to start off by talking about the economy, and then I'll finish up by talking a little bit about risk and how to solve the risk issue. The economy looks really good, right? Our economic growth is over 3%. We've had 2 quarters of over 3% growth. That's despite terrible natural disasters, the hurricanes of Harvey and Irma. So it's the best situation we've had for many, many years. So things look really good, but the question is that sort of a fake and just sort of leading or investors down the wrong path, or is it really a blue skies, nothing to worry about, everything looks good? So that's what we're going to talk about. Well, consumers. Consumer spending is the biggest part of the economy. It grew 2.4% last quarter, but it grew 3.3% the quarter before. And income, it's up, but just a little bit. It was up 0.6%. The previous quarter was up 3.3%. And savings is just taking just a little bit. So yes, the consumer is looking strong, but it's going in the wrong direction. It looks like it's slowing down. What does look good is business investment. Business inventories were very strong. And in fact, the growth of business inventories added 1.4% of the overall GDP. Obviously, what that means is that business expects business to be good. They expect consumers to come in, flood the stores, and buy all their stuff. And so they're hiring lots of people, and we'll talk about employment in just a minute. But before that, I want to talk more about the natural disasters. So the Commerce Department suggests that the hurricanes cost private and public sector $131 billion. And they don't even have any way to acknowledge or, to forecast what's that going to do to our GDP. But they actually don't expect these natural disasters to have a lasting impact on our overall economic situation. It will probably be just a blip on the radar screen. And in fact, if you look at the studies that show natural disasters in westernized countries, they typically really don't impact the economy. It's maybe counterintuitive, but it is true. In Kobe, they had the disaster in Kobe, Japan, in 1995, and people expected it would take Japan over 10 years just to get back to where they were. Guess what? It took 18 months. That's it. And that's, again, standard. That's par for the course. So it doesn't mean necessarily it will always be that way, but typically westernized countries aren't significantly impacted by natural disasters. Let's talk about real estate. So real estate is kind of unusual. What's happening is that the real estate industry is actually kind of weak right now, but not for the reasons that most people think. Builders are finding it very difficult to find lots, buildable lots to build on. They're finding it very difficult to hire skilled workers, and inventory is really low. So that's putting a clamp on the expansion in the real estate industry. And real estate is a huge component of our overall growth. So that's something that we got to watch because it puts the brakes on the overall economy. Inflation is also really interesting to look at. The government, the Federal Reserve, wants a 2% growth. That's their target all the time. And inflation clocked in last quarter at 1.3%, which is up from 0.9%. And you do want a little inflation. If you don't have any inflation, it means maybe prices are going down. That's a deflation. It's very difficult to get out of. Little inflation is very good, sort of the grease in the wheels for the economy. And our inflation has been subpar for a long, long time. We've been trying to get out of that recession era from the financial crisis. So, but because things are looking better than they were before, you can probably expect the Fed to continue raising rates at least this year, one more time in December is what they're talking about. Now, they talked about raising rates 3 times in 2018, but that may not happen. And if it doesn't, it means the economy is not as strong as others would lead you to believe. So what about wages? We talked about wages a little earlier. Unemployment is down to 4.2%, and large employers are being forced to pay higher wages to bring in new employees. Now, on the face of it, you'd say, well, look, if businesses are having to pay more, then obviously that's inflationary. But it hasn't been. As a matter of fact, Target and Amazon, who are they made the news last month, and I talked about it, that they had to pay big bonuses to get people to come in and work for them. They actually reduced prices on some items, notably food, this month. So how are they able to do it? Well, what happens is the internet is very transparent. It makes people aware of what the competition is charging for prices. So, for example, they interviewed the CEO of the Hilton hotel chain, and he said that the Airbnbs of the world are not hurting their business so much in terms of keeping a lid on pricing. But what is the internet, because people can look up prices and stay at the hotel down the street. And that's what's happening. So because of the internet, it's keeping a lid on prices. And that will probably continue going forward. In summary, if you summarize the economy, you're only hearing a lot of good news, but I need you to pay attention to the economy as a whole and to be as objective as possible. Consumer spending is still strong, but it's slowing down a little bit. The job market is great. Expect to see even lower unemployment and higher wages, and that is really the thing that's going to lead to a stronger economy over the long run. But the way to gauge that is to watch interest rates. If rates continue to go up, that means the economy is indeed expanding. If the rates slow down, if rates are not moved up, that might mean that we're up for maybe some difficult times ahead. So with that backdrop, what I want to do is I want to bring in a volunteer, Kim Creaky, and Kim is part of the Team Wealth Resources Group, and she's also someone who's been very diligent about saving and investing. And I want to get her take. When I bring her into the show, and any minute now she'll come in. There we go. Hi, Kim. How are you?
Good, Neil. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you volunteering to do that. So, a lot of people with the stock market doing as well as it has, a lot of people think, hey, risk, nothing to worry about. Things are so good, let's just full speed ahead. What has the recent run-up in the market done? Has that impacted the way you're investing or your attitude toward investing?
I feel pretty good about it.
Okay, so it makes you feel a little better?
Yeah, it makes me want to put more money in.
Right. Now, has it made you want to be more aggressive with your investments?
Some, yeah.
Okay, and you know what? A lot of people I encounter feel the same way. I mean, if you make hay while the sun shines, right? The thing that concerns me a little is, you've been through a few, I know you're a very young lady, but you've been through ups and downs in the market. And what happens is when the market is doing really well, that's when people sort of become complacent. And they kind of forget about risk. Now, you lived through 2008. I know you were, just barely out of high school and then those years, but you remember how painful that was, right?
Absolutely.
And does the shadow of 2008 ever creep its head in these times when things are really good, or Or is it something that you don't really think about anymore?
I think it's always a concern.
Okay, so my concern is that, yeah, not necessarily that we're headed for another 2008 event. Of course, nobody knows. But I want to show you something that I think you'll find interesting. This is a list of some of the worst 5 years in the stock market. We can see that 2008 was one of the worst, down almost 40%, followed by 74, 2002. And the point here is that the market can be very bad at times. And I think that's important to understand so that you're not surprised if we run into another one of those situations. That's all. Now, you know, I believe that by studying the market and when it's bad, it gives you context and it gives you perspective so that it allows you actually to hold on during good times and in bad, but not necessarily, but hopefully not to get more or too much more aggressive when times are good.
That makes sense.
When you see these kinds of numbers, you know, really painful, you know, how does that enter into your equation with your current investments or not really?
Well, it would make it losses that I experience now less drastic.
Right. True enough. Well, I think that, you know, by studying the very bad things, it makes us a better investor when times are good and bad. So the reason I bring it up is I think it's really important for investors today to go ahead and really go back and look at the year-by-year returns to see what they're really getting themselves into. You know, do you think that would be a useful exercise for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, have you ever run into people who invest too conservatively?
I think maybe some people early in retirement, maybe.
Right. Or maybe someone in your family. Have you ever had a conversation because you're around investing and investments all the time? Maybe someone at Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner or whatever talk about their investments and they're super conservative.
I have a lot of people who don't invest at all.
Right. And, you know, what do you say to them?
You're losing a lot of potential growth.
So maybe for the people who are ultra conservative, if they were to look at the year-by-year results in the good and the bad, they might be able to say, well, I can stomach that. Or they might be able to say, well, I can't stomach that, but I could maybe, not have all of my money in the market, but, have some kind of a balanced approach so that the bad years aren't so bad that they can't stomach it.
Sure.
So that's why I'm saying that studying the market is really important. And you know what? A lot of people, when they talk about investing, they talk about a 5-year or 10-year average. And I think that's great. But what's actually much more informative and useful is a year-by-year study of what's going on. That's what I think. It gives people really the experience. And
the broader picture.
Yeah, better picture, right. So do you want me to send this to you so you can share it with all your people at Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Sure.
Okay. So, the other thing that I wanted to bring up, another thing that's really important during times like these, I believe, is to have a retirement income plan. A lot of people, they don't have a plan, right? And what do you think that could lead to?
Well, you'd end up maybe having to get another job in retirement, or you'd run out of money.
Right. And by the way, I talk to your kids, and they told me that they definitely want you to not run out of money because they don't really want you to move in with them.
Well, maybe I want to move in.
Right. Oh, that's right. You know what? That's a good strategy. Run out of money so your kids can't turn you away.
Right.
I like it.
Right.
I like that. Well, my kids have told me that's not an option, so I can't run out of money. Your kids probably like you more than my kids like me. But what I've noticed, Kim, is that a lot of people, they could actually earn quite a bit more from their existing investments, sometimes 2 or 3 times as much income from their investments, but they really don't know how to do that. Of course, that's the work that we do with clients at Wealth Resources Group. But it's very important to understand how to maximize your retirement income from your existing investments exactly for the reasons that you specified, so that you don't run out of money, so you can have the retirement that you want, you know, go skiing, go visiting, whatever you want to do. And I think a lot of people, they overlook this.
I agree.
You know, now I know that you've been doing financial planning for clients and also for yourself for a long time. Mm-hmm. How has that helped you? Has that made a change for you?
I stress about money less. I feel like I have a grasp on our situation. And we have a plan.
And that feels good, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'll be honest. I just figured my plan was to work as long as I live, and I still plan to do that, but and make as much as I could and save as much as I could. And the problem with that plan is that you know, maybe you're saving too much. Maybe you're not enjoying life. You know, you're always afraid to save more, so you're not spending and enjoying. That's because you don't have a perspective on it. And also, you're always afraid. You're always living in fear. So personally, the planning has been helpful to me personally, and obviously to our clients. I only ran my own plan about 15 years ago. Since then, things have, you know, really been great. As you said, a lot less stress and a lot more flexibility. And by the way, it helps me enjoy what I do a lot more. I also do it for, as you know, we do it for clients now, so that's helpful too. Mm-hmm. Very important. And so the bottom line is, the economy is strong, but things change. And there are a lot of strong elements of the economy, but there's also at the same time some things that you're not hearing which point to potential weakness. And I think this is the most important thing you can do right now is not necessarily get more aggressive or necessarily get less aggressive, because then you're trying to predict the future. And do we have that crystal ball still in the office, or did it break?
It broke.
Oh, darn it. So we don't have a crystal ball. I don't think anyone out there does either. So I recommend that you use this time to really dust off your plan, make sure you've got a retirement plan for income, that you're taking the right amount of risk to help you achieve your goals, but not take unnecessary risk. It never makes sense to do that. So that's it. Kim, I want to thank you for your time and joining us. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, and I want to invite everybody else out there. If you've got questions, if you want to join our Facebook Live event, I'm going to be doing this at least once a month. If you have questions, if there are things that you want to see discussed, let me know. Just ask me a question or shoot me an email. And here's how you can, let's see, is that the slide? Oh, nope. What you can do is make sure to go to Wealth Resources Group Facebook page, like the page so that you get notified of future events. You can also send me private messages. You have my email anyway. And also go to wealthpilgrim.com, please, and subscribe on the page there so that I have a lot of free resources, courses, all kinds of stuff Share it with your friends and family, anyone you care about. We want to be as helpful as possible. So again, Kim, thank you very much. And everybody out there, thank you. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks,
Bye.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Kim.